I'm gonna go ahead and shoot. Shoot. You see somebody? Where they're shooting at.
Hello and welcome to a special year-end edition of ACC News Now. I'm Staff Sergeant Katie Maricle. We're here at Langley Air Force Base's Memorial Park. It's a larger-than-life display of Air Force history, and it's only fitting that we pick this spot to tell you all the things that happened at ACC in 2016. There were some victories, a couple of struggles, but no matter what, airmen stood ready to face it all. And readiness is where we start this week's show. Airmen from all ACC bases participated in various exercises to stay prepared to fight and execute the ACC mission. A typical red flag exercise at Nellis Air Force Base involves a wide variety of aircraft, both manned and remotely piloted, as well as ground-based command and control, space, and cyber forces. The red flag environment helps airmen both in the air and on the ground simulate a real-world combat scenario both in daylight and under the cover of night. Meanwhile, at Barksdale Air Force Base in Louisiana, American Air Forces met up with their Colombian counterparts for Exercise Green Flag East. It's the first time in 5 years that Green Flag East has hosted a partner nation for the exercise. A-10 crews from Moody Air Force Base flew with Colombian A-29 Super Tucanos. Despite there being not only a difference in platform but also a language barrier, there were many common factors that made mission success possible in the air and on the ground.
They're very similar. Obviously, it's a different platform, different capabilities and specs, but in reality, that mission of CAS that they are training to and that we do in the A-10 is the same.
And closing out exercises in 2016 is Exercise Checkered Flag at Tyndall Air Force Base. Staff Sergeant Russ Jackson tells us all about it.
I'm Staff Sergeant Russ Jackson reporting from Checkered Flag 17-1. The purpose of Checkered Flag is to give pilots the opportunity to train on a large force exercise which they can't do back home.
The reason this exercise matters is because it gets us all together and gets us familiar with each other. They say it's all about relationships, and this builds relationships, which helps to form a even more lethal team, and it allows us to work on our interoperability. So we're bringing everybody together such that we can build those relationships, build up that teamwork, and then, if we are called to, execute together as a team at whatever the combat operations require.
And a team of Air Force fighter jets are exactly who's flying together over the Gulf skies during the next 2 weeks. Reporting from Checkered Flag, I'm Staff Sergeant Russ Jackson.
On June 2nd of this year, the Air Force made headlines around the world when a mishap occurred with our premier demonstration team. Thunderbird 6 experienced a mechanical failure after conducting a flyover at the U.S. Air Force Academy graduation ceremony in Colorado Springs. The pilot was able to maneuver the aircraft to a grassy field in El Paso County, Colorado, and eject without sustaining major injuries. Just like the song goes, though, nothing can stop the U.S. Air Force, and that also applies to our Thunderbirds. Less than a week later, the Thunderbirds, as a 5-ship demonstration team, was back in the air practicing over the skies of Nellis Air Force Base. Thunderbird 6 was cleared to rejoin the team just a few weeks later, and the team was able to finish their season in full with a closing performance at Nellis's Aviation Nation Air Show. Now, the Thunderbirds just announced their season for 2017, so to find out if they're flying over your neighborhood next year, visit afthunderbirds.com. Coming up, airmen weather the storm, whether it's a hurricane in the ocean or a full-on lightning strike. Stay with us. Welcome back to our end-of-year newscast. Air Combat Command has quite a few wings on the East Coast, from Florida all the way up to Maryland, and nearly every single one of them was right in the path of this year's strongest hurricane. After devastating the Caribbean, Hurricane Matthew's course aimed right at the east coast of the United States as a Category 4 storm. Airmen at Moody sent their A-10s to nearby Tyndall Air Force Base, which was out of harm's way despite being on the coast, and Seymour Johnson's F-16 Strike Eagle airmen flew to Barksdale Air Force Base, Louisiana to avoid the storm. Langley and Seymour Johnson bore the brunt of the storm with power outages and runway flooding affecting both installations. Luckily, no airmen were seriously injured, and all aircraft were able to return safely to home station. Finally, we saved the biggest piece of ACC news for last. the initial operational capability announcement for the F-35A Lightning II. The Air Force declared IOC at a ceremony at Hill Air Force Base, and Airman First Class Jourdan Barrons was invited to the celebration.
Airmen from the 388th and 419th Fighter Wings celebrated the F-35A Lightning II reaching initial operational capability, or IOC, at Hill Air Force Base, Utah. The Air Force Chief of Staff, General David Goldfein, recognized the team for their years of dedication in making the newest fifth-generation fighter officially combat-ready.
To our combatant commanders who will employ this magnificent weapon system and these airmen in combined arms of the future, we're ready. We've come a long way.
A team of aircraft specialists developed tactics, techniques, and procedures for making the F-35A operational.
There's no disputing the need for the capabilities the F-35 brings to bear. The jet has proven itself to be survivable and lethal, while allowing the technological growth to remain a viable weapon system for decades to come.
The 388th and 419th Fighter Wings are the first active duty and reserve components to achieve F-35A IOC. Airman First Class Jourdan Barrons, Hill Air Force Base, Utah.
And that does it for 2016 here at ACC News Now. From all of us at ACC Public Affairs and our partner wings all over the U.S. and in the AOR, thanks for watching us this year. We will see you in 2017.